When I lost my husband, I lost my best friend. He was literally the first person I wanted to tell my good news, and he was the first person I wanted to tell any bad news. He was my favorite person in the whole world, and I wanted to run with him, run to him with everything. So, something that I think is a misconception about widows or widowers is that if they begin dating or if they get remarried, that they shouldn't talk about their dead spouse anymore, that that's somehow disrespectful to the new person in their life. And I just want to say you can throw that idea right out the window, because I know some widows that have remarried and they still have love for that former for that first spouse that died. That's something that doesn't go away. If your best friend died, let's say the person that you were not in an intimate relationship with, but your best friend dies, and you go on and you're blessed to have a new best friend come into your life, you're still going to talk about that person you had all these shared experiences with. Um, you're not going to just stop talking about that person and forget that they existed. You're not going to hide all the pictures of fun times with them. And it's the same thing with our dead spouse. Just because someone new would come into a person's life doesn't mean that the other person disappears or that they didn't matter. It doesn't mean that we have to stop talking about that person. So that's something I didn't understand before I was a widow. I had a friend who was remarried widow, and I used to think, so disrespectful. She's married. Why does she talk about her dead husband all the time? That must really hurt her husband's feelings. And then Chris died, and I got it. Because I had Chris for 11 years. 3 is his girlfriend, and 8 is his wife. And that is 11 years of my life that I had this awesome, wonderful man with me. And I'm not going to stop talking about him. That would be ludicrous to think, first of all, that I could edit him out of my life because we have so much shared history. But secondly, I'm not going to. That's my best friend. And you couldn't expect me to stop talking about him. That's just crazy. And if I were to fall in love again, and this is the right person for me, he would understand that. He would be able to emotionally deal with that, and it would be okay. And if he can't emotionally deal with that, if he can't cope with that, then he's not the right person. End of story. It's that simple. And where I'm at with my grief, it has been over 2.5 years. So in June, we will be at the 3-year mark. June 24th will be the 3-year mark since I lost my husband. And I'm not in the place of this fresh raw grief anymore. I pretty well live my life. I'm in acceptance of being a single mom. I'm in acceptance of making all the major decisions myself and caring for the kids myself. And that doesn't mean it's not really super stressful, because it is. And that doesn't mean that there aren't moments where I'm having emotional breakdowns, especially with stuff with my kids where I just need someone else to tap in for a little bit and help me. And there's no one. Maybe my mom or my mother-in-law or whomever is not available, and guess what? I'm it. So just gotta deal. Just gotta make it happen. And those are the times when I really struggle with the fact that it's just me. But it's not raw like it once was. And so at this stage, I would kind of liken the loss to a virus. So when Chris first died, it was like that initial infection with a virus. You're really, really sick, and your body is just racked with infection. And you've got aches, and you've got sores, open sores, just festering wound, and fever, and I mean, every inch of your body is sick, inside and outside. And it takes a long while to fight that infection off until you can even barely function. And then you go from there, from I'm barely surface level functioning, you heal a little bit more, and then maybe you're functioning at 50%. And then your body fights off that infection, if you will, that grief. You get to a point where maybe now you're at 75%. You can think a little bit more clearly. You've perhaps made a plan for how I'm dealing with life, this side of things. You're starting to get used to this new normal. And then one day you get to a point where you know, you're at your new 100%. It's not the 100% you had before, but you're at full capacity. You know, you don't have your first thought of the day every day, my husband's dead, or my wife is dead, or this person isn't here. You don't have that searing pain. You're not running that fever. You don't have the body aches. You don't have the sores. It's, you know, it's like you've fought off that initial infection. It's like your body is healed. But the infection lies dormant, just like with a virus, where it's not really gone, but it's under the surface. And so you feel better. But then something happens at some point, and that might be a certain meaningful day on the calendar. Your dead spouse's birthday, your own birthday, a dating anniversary, a wedding anniversary, some day on the calendar, that might be it. A certain smell, finding a photograph of something a long time ago, finding a dirty pair of socks buried behind a bed months after they've died. You know, you're going to have something at some point, and all of a sudden, a virus takes hold of your body again, and that grief is there, as fresh and as strong and just as deep as it ever was in that first moment. And it's like that virus came back. It's not dormant anymore. Boom, it's active. And you've got fever, and you've got body aches, and you've got open sores. And there you are. You're sobbing in the store, or, you know, you're losing it at work, or you're having some sort of inappropriate emotional response somewhere. I've had those. I've had plenty of those. Or you're just holed up in your room, unable to function because something has happened. Something that took you by surprise. And you're back in that first moment of, oh my gosh, he's gone. He's not here, and it's not okay, and it's not fair. And that grief virus has taken hold of you again. And then, you know, you get through that, and maybe it takes you a couple of weeks to get through that one. Maybe it takes you a few minutes. Maybe it takes you a couple days. It depends. Each one is different. It's individual. And I've had those moments where I hear a song on the radio and I feel that panic rise in my chest and I catch my breath. Oh, and I take a few deep breaths. And it's like 30-second burst of grief. And I'm good. And I work through it and we're gone. Crisis averted. And then there's times where I've got a 2, 3, 4 week funk. And there's certain times of the year I can tell you that's probably going to happen. You know, our wedding anniversary, that's one. June is rough. Because we've got wedding anniversary in June, we've got his death anniversary in June. So those are 2 weeks apart. That's rough. His birthday in October, that's rough. My birthday is rough. Now, my birthday, don't get me wrong, my birthday is not rough because I'm getting older. I am so thankful to be getting older. I make a commitment to you not to complain about getting older because I am thankful to my Lord for every number I ever get on that calendar. I will do my best to never complain about getting older because I know that's a gift. But my birthday's hard because I am gaining numbers on the calendar that my dear husband never got to see. So that's tough. And it's also hard because I wish he were here to celebrate with me. And so that's tough also. And then February's tough because there's my dad's death anniversary, and 2 days before that is the anniversary of the day that Chris and I had our miscarriage. So, you know, we've got a few times a year that I know are going to be probably at least a week or two of, if you want to call them, the virus coming out of remission when I'm in full-blown grief mode again, and I just struggle. But then I've got those little things interspersed throughout the year. It might be me passing a car wreck on the road. Those are always tough for me. It might be someone posting a photograph of a damaged car on Facebook. I come close to a panic attack every time I see one of those. You know, those take me anywhere from a few minutes to a day to recover from. So those are small, you know, grief things I've got to get through. But again, like I said, I don't live with grief as an active illness anymore. And I'm so thankful for that. I really don't. You know, I live my life. I go to work, I take care of my girls, and they are so chaotic and so busy, but I love them. And they are also hilarious and fun and so loving. I wouldn't trade them for anything. I exercise, and that's so good for me. That helps me so much with my body, my mind, my soul. It just, it's awesome. I need that so much. And I've got school, and I've got church, which again, that's so helpful. Spending time in my Bible, spending time in prayer, and then spending time with extended family and friends. I've got a full life. I've got a beautiful life. And I am no longer consumed by the grief. It is a part of my life, but it is not my whole life. And yes, I'm a widow, and that is part of who I am, but that's not everything that I am. And, you know, that's not my definition. So I don't let grief be my definition. I don't let widow be my definition, even though these are things that are part of my life and part of what I live with. And I just wanted to share that with any of you right now that have lost a spouse or are going with grieving, dealing with grieving. I just hope that this can be encouraging to you.